to our resort. What's your last name? Looking for your husband? I'm sorry, ma'am. I cannot disclose that kind of information. I love doing this. I understand your frustration. What's his last name? That is all I can do. It is the hotel policy. F the policy, girl. He's here. He was here last week too, different girls. I understand your frustration, ma'am, but this is all I can do. Here, say that you found this on the floor. Go in there right now. They just ordered champagne, girl. It's about to get messy. Can you call me when you're in there, though? I want to listen, you know what I mean? A little credit for helping you out. No? No, okay, I'm sorry, but go there right now. I'm sorry, ma'am. Have a good day. Go right now.
What is the craziest way you guys found out that somebody was cheating on you?
So I have a pretty crazy story. I was with this guy for a few months. The whole situation was very sketchy. He never had me at his house or anything like that. Anyways, so he had gone to a music festival, and the whole time he was just being very distant, barely answering me, wasn't even posting that much. So I had a really bad feeling. At this time, a lot of people had added me on Snapchat that I did not know. So I started going through these people and adding them all back. Lots of people were at this music festival, so I started going through these people's stories. I would replay them, rewatch them, add more people, go through their stories, and by God's grace, in the very background of this random person's Snapchat that I don't know, I had just randomly added back, was him standing there with his arms around another girl. So I was like, yeah! Went on his Instagram, went to his recent followers, found this chick that was wearing the exact same thing in this little tiny screenshot. I ended up calling him. I was like, yo, how's your day? He's like, good. I'm like, oh yeah, how's Cynthia?
Story time about how my boyfriend sent me proof that he was cheating on me by mistake. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sent to me on Instagram. My stupid, idiotic boyfriend is so dumb. Like, seriously dumb. We've been dating for 6 months and we met on a dating app. As soon as we became boyfriend and girlfriend, he introduced me to all of his friends. And one of his best friends happens to be a girl. A very, very good looking girl. And no, I didn't even let it bother me because he told me he loved me and he liked me. And obviously, like, why wouldn't he just date her? But here's the thing. Every time I would hang out with her and my boyfriend, she would make it so obvious that she was competing for his attention. She would wear really short crop tops and show off all her cleavage. And if a big group of us went to a bar, she would make sure to get super drunk and make a scene. And anytime that she would get hit on by a guy, she would run to my boyfriend and tell her to save him. And he did everything she told him to. A few weeks ago, we were all at a house party and she made sure to only dance with him the entire night. Of course, this made me uncomfortable, so I started asking him questions. He denied everything profusely, so I just let it go. But a few days later, I get a screenshot that he obviously meant to send to one of his guy best friends about his girl best friend. And this screenshot was a picture that she had sent him, along with a few messages that they had sent each other. He told her that she looked hot in the picture and that she was hoping I would break up with him soon. What more proof did I need? My husband making out with another man on our honeymoon and I'm refusing to give him a divorce. My husband and I met on a blind date. Our friends had set us up and they made him sound like a Greek god. And he kind of is. He's super tall, attractive, Greek, tan. His dream is to become a politician and he owns several businesses. I own my own marketing agency and we're both addicted to work. We're literal workaholics. When we went on our first date, I was so surprised to see how much we had in common. Both super work driven. We also found a lot of the same things funny. This was such a relief to me because I'd never been on a blind date before. And we talked about a lot of stuff, including our sexy preferences. He told me he only liked women and I was like, okay, cool. And I told him, of course, I only liked men. We actually ended up going on a total of 15 dates before he asked me to be his girlfriend. Everything just felt so amazing and right. We had amazing chemistry, he made me laugh, and we had a lot of fun in the bedroom. After a few months, he asked me to be his wife and I was so happy I said yes. He hired the best wedding planner in our city and we got to planning. We were both really involved in everything. The wedding was spectacular. We got married in the winter, so it was snowing outside. It was beautiful. We had an orchestra, amazing catering, so I was really happy. The day after that, we went on our honeymoon. Planned to go to several Greek islands. Our first stop was Santorini. I actually got in really good shape for the honeymoon. I had abs. I wanted to look as sexy as I could for him. A few days into our stay, we found this really cute cafe, and the server at the cafe was actually really handsome. Him and my husband got along really well. So well that I caught them making out at our hotel. Part 2 is up. I caught my husband kissing another man on our honeymoon, and I'm refusing to give him a divorce. As I walked into the hotel, I could see 2 men kissing in a corner. Obviously, I didn't know it was my hubby, so I turned away. I went straight up to our bedroom and I couldn't find him. I called his cell phone, but there was no answer, so I went right back down to the lobby. And this is when I look again at the 2 guys kissing in the corner. I could only see one of the guys' backs, and obviously I didn't recognize it as my husband. Not until I see my husband's hand creeping up on the back of this guy's neck. And immediately I recognize his hand and the ring. I thought it was a joke at first, until I could see they were passionately making out. I yelled my husband's name and they both turned to look at me. That's when I saw it was the server from the damn cafe that my husband and I had been going to almost every single morning. The same guy my husband was talking to almost every single day. The server ran out of the hotel. He obviously was not looking to confront me. That's when my husband grabs my arm and takes me to the pool area. That's when he confessed that he thought he was bi and that he was just experimenting. And he also said that the server basically forced him to kiss him. I told him he should have been honest with me from the beginning about being attracted to guys, and that the least he could have done was not make out with this guy in the hotel of our lobby. He started to apologize, but I couldn't even talk to him. I still wanted to enjoy the trip, so I got my own hotel room. That very same night, my husband tells me that we should consider a divorce, and that he thinks he might have really serious feelings for the server. I said no. I would be so embarrassed if I go home right now and tell my entire family and friends that my husband left me for another man. Not to mention the fact that he totally wasted my time. I asked him if we could just work this out, and he's asking for an open relationship now. And of course, I'm totally in love with him. We just got married. I'm just so confused. What should I do?
Tell me how you found out that your ex-spouse was cheating on you.
Oh, this is a good one. So, been dating this guy for 2 years, was head over heels in love, convinced I was going to marry him, blah, blah, blah. He was 4 years older than me, so I thought he had maturity in him. No. My auntie came to me one day and she was like, listen, Chloe, we need to talk about your boyfriend. He's been playing the field, he isn't loyal to you. And I know this because he's been seeing my friend for 2 months and they've been riding. And I was like, oh, right. Met up with a side chick, called my best friend and my mum, got all 3 of them to meet me at my house. I hid all 3 of them in the kitchen when he came over. Not a clue. Clueless that I knew anything. Sat him in the living room, gave him one chance to tell the truth, and he lied. So I was like, okay. Went to the kitchen, got the side chick by the hand, took her in and went, now have you anything to tell me? He went green. He thought all 4 of us were going to kick the shit out of him. We should have.
Welcome to our resort. What's your last name? Looking for your husband?
So I used to work at a hotel, and this reminded me of a story. I worked at this hotel for about 1.5 years, and there were a couple of people that stayed regularly at the hotel, and there were also people who lived at the hotel. And the people that lived at the hotel were like business owners and politicians, some of them, and they had a lot of money, so they can afford to live in a hotel instead of buying property. But all of these men were married. We knew their wives and we knew their kids because they would come and visit. And there was this one particular guest who was notorious for escorts. Notorious. Like, we would see him come home or come back to the hotel with a different woman almost every day of the week. As hotel staff, like, we're not allowed to like tell anyone about our guests' private business. But there was just one day, this one particular day, where Mr. X, let's call him, was with a woman that was not his wife. So like I said, Mr. X leaves the lobby with this woman that is not his wife. Now, when you work at hotels and you see escorts, you kind of get used to how they look. And this is no judgment, but a woman in a fur coat with stilettos and a sparkly dress at like 10 a.m., it looks kind of random. But whatever. Like I said, it's none of our business. Then, later in the afternoon, I was still working. Mr. X comes back to the hotel with his wife. And we know how his wife looks like. She brunette, 2 kids with him, his children, and they go upstairs. All right. I don't know what went on there, or how his day changed, but that's not my business. And then an hour later, this young woman, the blonde from earlier, comes up to my desk and she says, hey, like, Mr. X, I was with Mr. X this morning and he gave me these cards, but they're not working anymore. And I thought, yeah, sure, of course. Like, I'll give you cards. I'll give you new room keys. And as I was placing the keys on the machine, something inside me told me, wait a minute. And so I thought, let me just check the reservation. So I checked Mr. X's reservation, and I find out that, first of all, when I first opened the reservation, it said in big capital letters, do not issue cards to anyone but Mr. X. This message was written twice, once in capital and once in lowercase. And then the comment right beneath it had said, guests would like 2 slippers, 2 robes, 2, champagne flutes, and, champagne sent to the room. And this message was from earlier in the day. So my suspicion, and I think that I'm pretty close is that he had intended to spend the day with his mistress, but his wife had ambushed him, and then his mistress was told to come back after he had dismissed his wife, and the poor girl came back thinking that she would be let up, and he had told the hotel to not give her keys. And I think of it because I think she had gone up. I remember that she went up, tried the keys, and came back down. So, she was told to come back to the hotel. Maybe she wanted to get paid. I'm not sure. But I think that he got caught or almost got caught cheating. And if I had given her keys and she walked in on him with his wife, a homicide could have happened. And I'm not...
Story time. But before that, I just want to say, I think I have the most positive comment section on TikTok. Everyone's been so nice. Everyone's been super supportive. Apparently, I need to get a job in the FBI. And I also had a news article written about me in The Sun in the UK. Crazy. So story time on that night / the relationship. My intuition kept playing, like, I kept having nightmares about him doing something bad to me. So I had this gut feeling that something was going on. And then he started disappearing in the middle of the night. Like, I'll call and text and he wouldn't reply. And I was so worried, like I kept calling and he wouldn't reply until the next day. So I wouldn't hear from him throughout the whole night, or sometimes... And it's always on a weekend. It was always on a weekend. So that's where it kind of started me thinking that something is going on. So he would disappear for hours on end. Like, he would go the whole night without calling, without texting, until the next morning. And I had a feeling something was going on, obviously. But I thought it was like, something bad, like smoking something or drinking or something like that. I never thought it was cheating because I thought, obviously, that he loved me. Stupid. Anyway, so I confronted him. I said, like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And he said, no, I was just with the boys. It's always the boys. He was always, or he was playing FIFA, or he was out with his friends, or they were playing soccer. And I always believed him. So it came the time to go and visit him. So I get off this 4.5-hour flight, 4-hour flight, whatever it is. And I see on the side that he doesn't sleep, I see a long blonde hair, and straight. And I'm not that. So my brain started doing all these calculations, like, should I say anything? Should I not? Because obviously he's gaslit me in the past. So I just wanted to avoid the conversation altogether. So I did some digging. I went through his friends on Facebook. I found all of the females first, and then I found all of the blonde females, and then I found all of the blonde females in the area, and then I did a age bracket between whatever it was like 18 up to 40. And I went through all of the ones. I tried to figure out which ones were single and which ones were married, boyfriend, whatever. So I came up with it was a very short list of people. And I came up with one. And she just so happened to work with him. So I got her name. I typed it into his iPhone because he had two phones at the time, a Samsung and an iPhone. And there was no message thread with her. But when I typed her name, when I went to the Finder bar, her name was at the top. And with iPhone, the people that you have recently spoken to are the ones that come first. So it's in order by when you spoke to them. So I was at the top, she was below me, and then his friends. So that was the confirmation that I needed, that he was speaking to another woman. So I texted her from his Samsung and I said, good night. No kisses, no emojis, no baby, nothing. And some time had passed. He had already gotten into his bed naked. And
I see his Samsung light up, so I check it in the living room and it says, "Good night, baby. I can't wait to see you." So then I picked up the phone, I went to his bedroom, I gave it to him very calmly and I said, "Your baby wants to say goodnight." Showed him the message and I left the room. And he was yelling, "It's not what it looks like." And I just walked. I just completely ignored him. I got in his car and I was about to drive off. And he was telling me, "No, it's not what it looks like. We call each other pet names at work. She calls me baby. I call her babe. It's just a thing that we've got going on." So he tried to gaslight me and he tried to manipulate me because he was a little bit older than me. He tried to manipulate me into thinking that that was normal for her to be calling him baby, and the fact that all the messages were mysteriously deleted from his phone. And when I said, "Okay, if you have nothing to hide, let me check your phone," he said to me, "Why do you need to go through my phone? Do you not trust me?" Anyway, I left. The next day, I see him, okay? And I said, "Okay, give me your phone, let me go through your phone." He gave me his phone. From the Samsung and from the iPhone, everything was deleted. Her number was even deleted. Red flag.
The way I found out my boyfriend is cheating is actually by what he said in his sleep. So we were laying in bed, and in his sleep, he said a girl's first and last name. And usually when people are sleep talking, you know, it's hard to make out or it just doesn't really make sense. No, this was clear as day. Straight out of a movie. So I get out of bed and I look up this girl on Facebook and I notice how she's married and she has kids, so I don't really think too much of it. And when he wakes up in the morning, I ask him about her and he was like, "Oh, it's just some girl I went to high school with." But I wasn't fully convinced, so I messaged the girl and I was like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so's girlfriend. I was just wondering if you guys have talked recently." And the way she responded is what put me even more on edge. She was like, "You need to mind your own business. You're just his crazy ex-girlfriend." And I'm like, "Excuse me, I am not his ex-girlfriend. He's living in my house. I am paying for his phone bill. He drives my car to work. He's very much my boyfriend." Well, then I get this message from a completely different girl. So at this point, I decide to do a little bit more digging. Since it's only my name on the phone plan, I'm able to view all of the phone calls from all of the phones on that line. So I start looking through his phone calls and I notice a 45-minute phone call with a number I didn't recognize. So when I asked him about this, he was like, "I've never even made a 45-minute phone call. The phone company must have made a mistake." Yeah, okay. At this point, this is all the proof I need, so I'm like, "You need to leave. You need to get out." And he's giving me this huge sob story about how he has nowhere to go. Honestly, not my problem. You should have thought about that before. So a couple of days later, I'm texting him and I'm asking for the phone back. He told me that he already talked to a cop about it and he's not giving me my phone back because there's nothing I can do. So there may have not been anything I could do to get it back, but I decided to report the phone stolen. So at least that way he couldn't use it either. And he had actually left his car at my house. So he told me when he came to pick up the car, he would also give me the phone. I'm like, okay, perfect. That works for me. It's the day after he's supposed to pick up the car and I haven't heard from him. So I'm trying to reach out to him and I am blocked on absolutely everything. So what do? Yep, I tow his shit.